Obviously, with the holiday season here, you've been busy. What has it been like being the guy that's now front and center and really in charge of the whole baseball operation of the Brewers so far?
It's been a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, certainly miss David Stearns like crazy. I still talk to him almost every day, communicate some fashion with David every day. He didn't fall off the edge of the earth. He's still around, so he's a big part of what we're doing still. But we have a great group of people. We've been around, now I've been here for 7 years. We have a really strong group, and just leaning on them every day for everything, frankly, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
What were the baseball meetings like for you in this role? I know you've been there. I know you've done this as a general manager and in other roles, but now this time, what were the baseball winter meetings like for you?
It was hectic. It didn't look like, I think, on the surface probably that we were doing a ton, but we certainly were. I think I mentioned this before. We bring that whiteboard for a reason, and we throw a lot of ideas up there, and a lot of them don't certainly happen, and when they do, it's really really rewarding. And so we're very busy, but it's also great. It's great to get our staff together, and we haven't been able to do that in a long time, so it was fun to see everyone.
Yeah, you mentioned it seeming quiet during that time, but then afterward, all of a sudden you make a three-way trade and you land William Contreras at catcher. Many think this is a steal for you guys. Why was it so important to bring him into the club?
Yeah, we hope so, Brandon. I mean, obviously, he's a guy that we've followed for a long time, and we've seen his brother a ton here in this division, and so we're excited to have him. He's been a guy that we've had our eye on, and once we thought he had a chance to become available, he was a guy that we actively tried to pursue, and we're thrilled to get it done.
How did it come about? I mean, obviously, without going into the details from behind the scenes, but when it's a three-team deal like that and you have the A's and the Braves involved, how do the Brewers get pulled into this or brought into this to make it work for you?
Yeah, so honestly, it comes from a ton of phone calls and a lot of people involved, not just me, just our entire staff, and connecting with these different teams and trying to satisfy different parties that are involved. And so when you hear that one team is interested in one piece, or they're trying to access another player and they can't get him, maybe there's a way we can try to facilitate some of that sometimes. And sometimes it's coming to us. And so it just depends on the direction of the deal, and trying to satisfy different teams' needs. But the biggest thing is just being in play for us. We want to try to access everybody that we possibly can to help our team get better. And so when you're on the phone a lot, sometimes these ideas come up, and then somewhat organically come together at the end of the day.
You guys are basically about the same size market as San Diego. They're able to make these big moves. When you have or critics of you saying, hey, spend more money, how do you balance that to make sure you guys are competitive, yet you're not overspending like some teams may be?
Yeah, look, I think we want to be responsible. I also think at the same time we have support from our ownership group to access players that we want to try to get. And so, it's a balance, right? We're the Milwaukee Brewers. We understand that we're the smallest market in the league, but I know that we have support from our ownership to actively pursue players we want to try to access. And so we're going to continue to do so. And sometimes that comes through trades like William Contreras. And so it's not always just about spending dollars. It's about spending dollars responsibly.
What are you getting with Jesse Winker? I know you guys sent Colton Wong to Seattle. You bring Jesse Winker out here. What are you hoping to see out of him?
We've seen a lot of him, over many years, especially in Cincinnati. He's a really, really impactful bat. Obviously had a little bit of a down year last year, but we've seen what he can do in this division, especially at our ballpark. And so hopefully he's a really, really impactful middle of the order lineup bat for us here in 2023.
There are some reports out of Seattle questioning his work ethic and his presence in the clubhouse. How do you go through the process of vetting a guy to make sure he will be a fit for your clubhouse and put in the effort that you guys are expecting?
Yeah, I think, look, every situation's different, and we try to do our homework on everybody to the extent that we can. And having a long history with Jesse in our division, we've gotten to know him. I've spent time around him, around the batting cage in Cincinnati. Our coaches know him. We have people on our team that know him. And so whatever happened in Seattle, that's in the past for him. And we're hoping it's a really good fit for us, because we have a lot of people here that are big supporters of him. When I spoke to him, he was thrilled to be a Brewer, and that made us happy as well.
Yeah, he's got to be happy to be back in a division he had so much success in. Speaking of being back, you bring Owen Miller home. What is that like to be able to find a position player that is from here and has dreamt about being a Brewer, and now he gets to put the uniform on?
Yeah, it's really cool, Brandon. I think you're exactly right. Anytime that you have a chance to bring home a talented player, especially if they're from Milwaukee, it's a great thing. I know Craig Counsell has a relationship with him. We have guys on our staff that have been around him. People in our front office, I had somebody reach out and say, hey, my son played with him in our front office. And so, it's just a cool thing to have those kind of connections with our organization.
What did you say to him once you had the chance to talk to him and say, hey, you're a Brewer, we can't wait to have you here?
Yeah, I mean, he's pumped. We're pumped. I mean, it's great to have somebody like that here in our mix, and just having his kind of energy around. And look, he's a really talented guy, and he's going to have to earn his way on the team just like everybody else. But we're certainly happy to have it.
All right. Well, last couple things for you is now you still have about 2 months before spring training really gets going. What do the next 2 months look like for you as you look to try to build this team for spring training?
Yeah, we're looking to get better. I think that's first and foremost. And so there are still plenty of free agents out there. There's still trades that we're actively discussing, and that can come in a lot of different forms. That being said, we also feel really good about our foundation here, and so we feel like we have a core that can be really dangerous in the playoffs. We feel like we have a really strong group. We just have to get in. We missed the playoffs by one game. There's no excuses for why we didn't, but we need to get back, and I think it's really motivated our group. So we're energized to do whatever we can to help the ball club here over the next couple months.
And that does lead me to the last question. Is this team now one that you expect to make the playoffs every year?
Look, I think that's always our goal, right? And I think anything less wouldn't satisfy our entire group. I mean, we are very, very motivated. It starts with our ownership. It starts with Craig Counsell. It starts with myself and our entire staff, all of our players. This is a very motivated group right now, and so that is certainly our expectation.
All right, Matt Arnold, happy holidays. Best of luck in this offseason, and I know we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you.
Sounds great, Brandon. Thanks for having me.